technicals and welcome to home.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to round number 5 of the Formula SimRacing Pro Championship. We are here in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, for the Silverstone Grand Prix. It's going to be a very nice race once again. My name is Felix van Delft. Joined with me, it's once again Aidan Millward. Aidan, are you looking forward to this one?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's a track that often provides great racing, despite the fact that it's got so many high-speed, medium-speed corners that give us off that dreaded dirty air. But nice long straights, high top speeds. Should be a good one, especially with that new middle section. I say new; it's about 10 years old now. That little section just after the start-finish line that bunches the cars up for that Wellington straight. So hopefully some outside moves into Brooklands and Copse and Stowe as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting race indeed. Strategy-wise, of course, these newer 2021 Formula SimRacing car that we have, it's got a limited fuel tank. 48 liters goes into the tank at max, so these drivers are going to have to make a few pit stops to refuel their car. Of course, some tire rules, they have to use both the soft and hard at least once during the race. That all comes into play with the strategy, and that's going to be interesting to have an eye out for in the race as well. 42 laps. But first, we're having, of course, the qualifying session, and I think the drivers are starting to head out onto the track already.
Yeah, qualifying is going to be quite interesting. Private qualifying, as always. And just a reminder that these cars this year don't have the qualifying boost setting that they normally had the previous year. So it's just one setting, no DRS, just go out and drive as fast as you can for your 3 allotted fast laps. So if you mess up on a time lap, you have to escape, you have to go back to the pit lane, and then you have to go back out and do it again. And if you exceed your allotted laps, then you will be disqualified from the session. So all kicking off here in the session, watching Marek Godek just starting his first flying lap, absolutely throws it into turn 1, turns 1 and 2 flat out, downforce doing all the work, and then hard braking into turn 3, missing the apex entirely. That's not going to be too good, and he's abandoning that lap already. Zoltschuk's, meanwhile, he's on a time lap. He's usually the first guy out, so naturally he's fastest guy on track. So that's 24.5 for the first sector, and then comes through past the old pit lane, where the Formula 1 cars used to start way back when, and where the British Touring cars and GT cars start their races. Through Copse Corner, a bit of a wiggle, got to try and avoid the track limits on the exit. That can really hamper your lap. And then Maggots and Beckett's, probably the best section of any racetrack on the planet. Yes, fight me. And then into Chapel, which then leads out onto the Wellington straight. There's the DRS boards, but no DRS, remember. Straight under the bridge, getting up to nearly 200 miles an hour, 320 kilometers an hour, and then a dab of brake into Stowe. Try and avoid the track limits on the exit again. Use that ripple strip on the exit, and then hard braking into Club. Try and avoid the sausage curb on the inside, because that can really upset the car, and then try and get the power down nice and early, but under control, through the final corner, onto the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight, and that's a lap at Silverstone. Thomas Vacker's gone onto provisional pole. Zoltschuk's rips that from him within about a second or so.
Yeah, and Jan Bosnica is just coming out of Stowe right now. 2 purple sectors. This is going to be a flyer if he gets a good final sector as well. See what he's able to do here. Coming out of the final corner. Difficult to keep the car pointed in the right direction with the amount of power that's under those rear wheels. And indeed, it's provisional pole position for Jan Bosnica with a 1:28.028.
It wasn't having a good season so far. Tom Oldenmenger puts in a very decent time of 1:28.4. Now we're looking at Lawrence Doherty for HM Engineering. Maggots and Beckett's now. That car changing direction on a sixpence. It's incredible how good these cars are with changing direction with all that downforce on tap. Taking the title line through Chapel onto the Hangar Straight just to minimise the distance around the track. and then throws it into Stowe. A bit of a slide, still keeps it well within the track limits, and that's something we're going to see. A few drivers get caught, either in this race or the World Championship race that's later on, and then get the power down again. So much torque in these cars to simulate the hybrid powertrain that they would have had. Unfortunately, rFactor 2 doesn't simulate that, but still very difficult to drive cars. And Lawrence Doherty goes into a provisional 6th place with about 5.5 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, Maragoda coming for his second attempt through Cops, just a downshift and then flat out through there. Incredible speed. And like you said, this section is amazing, Aidan. Left to right, and then another right there out of Chapel, and onto the straight. No DRS, like you said, which is going to be a thing in the race. It's going to be a bit difficult. Drivers really have to work for their overtakes. Really need to make sure that they have a good run out of those twisty bits. Now, coming through the final corner, avoiding that inside apex. Of course, the anti-cut will not help your lap time as he comes across the line. It's going to be a 128.5.
Interestingly, Noah Roivers has 3 laps on the board, but no time, so he must have abandoned a lap or had a time deleted, so not going very well for the championship leader. Currently, as we go on board with Vosnitzer coming through turn 3, quite a tricky corner because you've got to get it all set up for turn 4. Bit of a kick of oversteer on the exit, now get the power down onto the Wellington straight, where it'll be once again up to about 190, 200 miles an hour. And then into Brooklands, which is tricky because it tightens up at the apex, so you come in a lot quicker than you think it would be on the track map, and then through Luffield. And as the tyres start to burn away, that corner gets more and more frustrating because it just goes on and on and on and on. You want to get the power down through Woodcut and then up to Copse Corner. So much fun throwing any car into there, whether it's touring car, F1 car, GT, prototype. It's a track that definitely suits any car. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's got 4 wheels, except maybe Formula E because of the limited power, but it's still so much fun. And Vositzer is fastest overall in the first sector. He's down on his previous best in sector 2. How's he going to be through Stowe? Misses the apex by a little bit, but still nicely under control. And then hard on the brakes into Club. Hit the curb on the inside, and then again it's just wait and then get the power down, feed it so you don't spin the rear out. And what time is he going to set now? Is he going to go any faster? No.
No improvement indeed for Woznica there. Still got a fairly sizable lead compared to Noah Rovius, who's been able to set a 28.3 now. But that's 3/10 slower than Jan Woznica as Tom Ondermenger comes across the line. I don't think he'll be improving by much. He did find a few tenths. Puts himself up to second position. Still about 2 tenths from Jan Woznica though. So still a bit of time to be found. Most of these drivers have only 1 lap remaining with 2 minutes on the clock. You'll probably see those guys getting out of the pits in the next 20 seconds or so. Lawrence Doherty coming out of Chapel.
Yeah, track limits might be affecting a couple of the drivers here because it is quite a sensitive track detection cut, or track cut detection I should say, on the exit of Stowe that we've just seen Lawrence Doherty go through there. Basically, if you get the tyres fully over the curb, then the game will start shouting at you. So it's an automated system, so the stewards don't have to do anything. It's not like real motorsport where they'll have people just sitting there watching the footage. It's all automated. So everybody's had the same warning. It's all the same for everybody. Thomas Vac on a hot lap now, 24.4, so he's up on his previous best. Using all the curb on the outside to maximise, and he's binned it.
A little bit too much curb on the outside there, and there goes his final qualifying attempt. Qualifying over for Thomas Vac, not going to be any higher up than P9.
Yeah, some of the drivers getting caught out. I mean, like those sort of like sawtooth curbs you see on the exit of Copse and Stowe, they can really upset the car if the ride height's not high enough, so that may be a cause of it. And Vosnitzer doing some weaving, get some heat in those tyres. And then taking that through Copse, and you can just see those white curbs on the exit of the black and white ones. And then you've still got the sausage curbs on other corners that can affect the car's balance, throw the car off. When you're going at such high speeds around here, we saw GT3 Endurance last night at Suzuka, cars losing it at a high speed and ending up in walls, and that can easily happen here as well. So it's a track where you definitely have to keep it between those white lines.
Yeah, Alvaro Torres, somebody that hasn't driven in FSR, I think, since 2017, when he did the Ace Championship. Now back into the car. Currently P10 is looking to improve his time here, at least in the second sector. First sector wasn't the best. Now braking for Dale. A bit of a slide on the rear. That's not going to help us exit here, because he's going to need those rear tires out of club corner, and that's definitely not going to be an improvement, I think. Across the line, and indeed no improvements for him.
Still a decent lap. He's in the top 10. Vositzer and Aldermenger sharing that front row. As it stands, Aldermenger slower in the first sector. So he's abandoning that. Roivers in provisional third right now. He's up on his personal best through sector 1 as he brings it past the old pit lane. See the bollards on the inside of Woodcut have been wiped out already. They probably will get wiped out on the first lap of the actual race. Just using enough curb on the exit to avoid the track limits detection, and then just absolutely throwing it through maggots and Beckett's, hitting every apex absolutely perfectly. You have to go slower through that final right than you think to try and get the power down and maximise your acceleration, and then top speed here up the hanger straight. Oh, he's dropped on the grass. That's not going to help him, as he's slower in sector 2 off his previous best. So he's missed the apex at Stoke completely, so this lap is going to be a total write-off unless he pulls out something incredible through the final sector. But I think Roivers is going to have to settle for third place here, but still slipstream fest in the race. And these cars simulating ground effect a little bit more than previous years, so maybe dirty air won't be as big a concern as we've been thinking.
Yeah, everybody now done with their qualifying, and it is Jan Woznica on pole position. Great qualifying by him.
Yeah, just almost 0.2 of a second to Tom Aldermenger in second place for Burst Simplex, the eSport, Noah Roivers, Netrex Grand Prix, Jan Vosnica's teammate in third. Lawrence Doherty, great qualifying performance for him, he's in fourth. Ivan Leonov for Netrex in fifth, then Marek Godet for Ghost Speed in sixth. So a decent amount of different teams in the top 10. And then they've got Cass Rietveld for Burst, Solch Sux for HM Engineering, Thomas Fach for HM Engineering, and Jukka-Pekka Lala for Royal Blue rounding out the top 10. So just over 0.6 of a second covering the top 10 there. And then we move on to the next page. We see the rest of the grid. Alvaro Torres, great qualifying. I know he's got some fans in chat right now for Brem GP. He's in 11th. Simon Frelick for Royal Blue in 12th, and David Kaloksai for Royal Blue in 13th. So Victor Ivanov for Netrex, he'll be looking to get a bit further up the field in the race. He's just 14th. Story Barbakov in 15th. Rasmus Andreasen, a great performance for him in 16th, and El Presidente Cameron Roger in 17th. So another good performance there for the Brit at his home race. Aaron Frosland for Invictus, he's in 18th, and Matt Tucson in 19th. Massimiliano Riboli in the top 20, and we have some drivers with penalties thrown to the back, so we'll see those in a second. That's Adam Rainey, George Chatzapantalis, Harry Smith, and Sergio Fletcher all at the back with no time.
Yeah, indeed, that's going to be interesting to see what they will be able to do in the race, which will be coming up in just a few minutes time. First though, we're going to have a look at what Michi Hoyer thinks about this Silverstone GP track.
Hello everyone and welcome guys to round 5 of the Formula Sim Racing 2021 season. Today we are at the home of British Motorsport. We are at Silverstone and I welcome you to one lap here around the Silverstone circuit. So we're going around the final turn to start our flying lap onto the start finish straight. Into turn 1 and 2 we go. Flat out right and left hander. Flat out at all times, and then first heavy braking zone into turn 3, hairpin to the right, immediately change to the left because there is another hairpin, and then traction through turn 5, flat out whatsoever back on Wellington Straight. Heading towards turn 6, Brooklands and Luffield. Late on the brakes, turn in, come towards the inside of the curb, then a classic tight, wide, tight corner here through Luffield and onto the former start-finish straight. Turn 9, Cops Corner, slight lift in 6th gear, and then a short sprint up to Mackett's, Backett's and Chapel. Here the car needs to be set up with good direction changes, loads of rear instability required as we go over the bumps out of Chapel onto the Hangar Straight, perhaps beside Wellington Straight, the best overtaking spot. Short tap of brakes for Cops Corner, turn 15, and then for the final time into Club 16-17 chicane. Car wants to brake out on the exit here of 17 through 18 and across the line. That is one lap, guys, around the Silverstone circuit, and now you guys will enjoy intense racing when drivers battle it out for the victories.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 5th round of the Formula SimRacing Pro Championship. We are getting ready to go racing here at the Silverstone track. 42 laps long race. Aidan, what do you think is going to be happening here today?
I think somebody's going to get caught out for track limits at some point during the race. 42 laps, you only get a certain amount of cuts before people start getting pinged for that, but front tyre life as well. Like I say, with these high load corners, turns 1, 2, Luffield, Cops, Maggots, Beckett, Stowe, it's all going to add up over the course of the race. So if anybody's on some sort of comeback drive, trying to out-strategize the guy in front, that might affect them in ways that might not necessarily happen at other racetracks we've been to this season or will go to this season.
Yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye out on. I think multiple strategies will be possible. Noah Rovers, of course, leading the championship by quite a big margin now after 3 wins and only 1 second position placed. And Jan Bosnica will be trying to hunt him down today as he's starting from pole position, of course. But he's got a way to go still. It's pretty close behind that. Solzux and Tom Oldemenger sharing 3rd, and Ivan Leonov in 5th, Kat Rietveld 6th. Kaloksai 7th, Jukka-Pekka Lalu 8th behind that, and Ivanov and Michael Ayers right behind that. Pretty close in the championship standings. It's going to make it very interesting to see once again today, and let's have a look at the starting order.
Yep, Jan Vosnica taking pole position for Networks Grand Prix, followed by Tom Oldemenger in the Burst Simplicity eSport car. Noah Roivers will be looking to try and get past Oldemenger at the start, and then as we go a bit further back to Ivan Leonov in 5th, Godek 6th, Kat Rietveld 7th, Solzux in 8th for HM Engineering, and then a bit further back, top 10 rounded out by Thomas Vak and Jukka-Pekka Lalu, then Alvaro Torres with his fan club in chat for Brem GP in 11th, then Simon Frelick in 12th. And moving a bit further back, it's David Kalaksai for Royal Blue, then Victor Ivanov, he'll be looking to get a bit further up. Stoyan Barbakov again for Royal Blue, then Rasmus Andreasen will be looking to make better on that great qualifying performance. He's in 16th. Karen Roger in 17th, will be looking to try and make some better moves as well with his teammates. And then Arif Roslan, Matthew Toussaint for Invictus in 18th and 19th. Then Rolly, Chatspantalis, Smith, Rainey, Fletcher at the back of the grid, with those 4 having penalties.
Yes, drivers are already on their formation lap, so everybody warming up their tires. Let's have a look if we can see any people doing a different strategy. Top 9, everybody on the soft tires, so that's pretty straightforward. Jukka-Pekka Lalu starting from the hard, so he's going to be the first driver on those hard tires, will be the one to watch. Alvaro Torres behind that, still on softs as well, so he's going to have to make sure to try and not get stuck behind Lalu, because the pace on the hard tires is of course going to be a bit slower than what at least what I would think Torres will be able to do on the softs. So he'll try to get past him as soon as possible, I presume. And behind that, a few more drivers on the hards and softs. a bit of a mixed bag with that.
Yeah, so Lalu is on the hards. He's the only one in the top 10 who is. Then you've got Fredic, Kalaksai, Ivanov, Barbakov, Ruslan, Tucson, Riboli, and Chatspantalis on the hards as well. So mostly softs. But I want to see if those hards can be pushed. Still maintain some pace in them despite the deficit between the two compounds. But race getting underway. The 5 red lights are coming on. And then we'll hear a bit of a pause and then the honk as the lights go out. And there it is. We are away at Silverstone. Vossitzer gets a decent start. Oldenmenger is trying to challenge into turn 1. Is Oldenmenger going to throw up the inside? No, but who's that? That's Lawrence Doherty that's managed to get him into 3rd place just off the start alone. And he's going into 2nd, maybe. He'll have to go around the outside into turn 3. Doesn't manage to hang it out, but Noah Rover's left out to dry here. He's losing positions left, right and centre. Unless Rover's going to hang it around the outside of Ivan Leonov, going out onto the Wellington straight for the first time. And then try to get into the slipstream of Doherty to try and get back that 3rd position. As we go on board with Cass Rietveld in 6th position. He's heading up the Wellington straight now, breaking into Brooklands. You can expect the bollards to be wiped out on the inside there. I think they already have. Then into Luffield. But everybody seems to have got through the first sector okay without any carnage happening on the opening lap, which can usually happen when you've got 24 or so cars trying to launch into a fast corner such as turn 1 here at Silverstone.
Yeah, great start of this race. No big incidents. Alvaro Torres has indeed gotten past Jukka-Pekka Lalu already, so he'll be trying to focus on sticking with Zolt Soeks in front of him now. Everybody in the hard tires probably having a bit less space, especially through these twisty bits where the tire grip is just a little bit less compared to those soft tires. And Lawrence Doherty, what a start from him. He'll be focusing on trying to stick with Tom Oldermenger. And Jan Woznica, of course, will be trying to pull out a bit of a gap here.
Yeah, Roivers did not get the best of starts. He's down into 5th, and there's a bit of chaos happening in the background. I heard some banging and biffing. Don't see anybody tumbling down the order as of yet, but a bit of a... I don't know who that was. It was Rasmus Andreasen almost dying on the exit of Club Corner with a huge twitch, and he's lost a place into turn 1.
Very, very close between all these drivers here coming into turn 4. Everybody getting through. Oh, no, not everybody getting through cleanly. I think that is Harry Smith. Yeah, Harry Smith getting turned around there.
And we've lost Riboli already as well, so something must have happened in that opening lap. As Cameron Roger also tumbling down the order. He's had a moment. And seeing Andreasen now has a bit of a gap in front of him to Kalaksai in front. So lost out big time there, the Dane. But still, he's in 14th position. So he's made a gain of a couple of spots off the start. So he won't be too disappointed with that so far.
Yeah, Barbakov having to defend from Sergio Fletcher and Adam Rainey behind him. Matt Tucson is right, Ruslan, his teammate, is right in front of this group. You see there, I think that is Adam Rainey having a bit of a look. Not able to do anything. It seems a little bit is not powerful enough for him. But he just needs to get a bit of patience, get a good run, and then try again next lap perhaps.
Constantly showing your nose into every corner isn't going to help you defend from the guy behind either, because you lose time doing that, and that's just going to invite the guy in behind to take advantage of any gap that's left. So moving up, here's Alvaro Torres following Zolt Soeks ahead of him as they head onto the Wellington Straight at the start of lap 3. So laps going by very, very quickly here. It's a very fast lap, despite the track being about 3.5 miles long. And one of the fastest racetracks that you'll find in Europe. Not the fastest in Britain, though. That title is held by Thruxton. It has a higher average speed than this place. But still, a good portion of the lap taken at full throttle, and that's what makes it such an enjoyable place to drive.
Yeah, Torres just sticking on to Soeks now. Of course, has a bit of dirty air, which won't be helping him. Ivan Leonov and Noah Rovers are catching up to Lawrence Doherty now. Doherty, of course, qualified a bit further down, had a great start up to 3rd position already, but now starting to feel the pressure from Leonov behind him. Of course, Noah Rovers, he'll be trying to move his way up to the front again as well, perhaps some strategy can help him with that. I would expect the first pit stops to happen around lap 14, 15. That's at least what one full tank will be able to do. But of course, we might have some people that have underfueled, or will try to do an undercut on some of their rivals if they're able to.
It makes you wonder if there's some sort of curse at Silverstone for championship leaders, because we saw Yannick Simic have a poor performance here last season when he was leading the championship, and now Royver's down there in 5th here today.
Yeah, who knows? He's right now, I think, getting a bit stuck behind his teammate Leonov, who in his turn is stuck behind Lawrence Doherty. I think the battle for P16 with Sergio Fletcher, Barbakov and Adam Rainey is heating up as well. See Adam Rainey very close to the rear wing of Barbakov here as they come up to Cobb's corner. Rainey's having a bit of a look, yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a cut track. Give him lots of room, and then just go single file through there. I mean, there was that Lewis Hamilton GP2 moment where he went 3 wide through there and took a position, but yeah, it's not always going to go that way. So just give nice and clean through that twisty bit as Rainey and Transpantalis fighting into Stowe. Sorry, it's Barbakov and Transpantalis fighting through there. So Barbakov up there into 18th. Transpantalis making his way, or trying to make his way up through the field after his back of grid penalty.
Yeah, Barbakov, you could see there Adam Rainey doing a bit of a peek into Cops that caused Barbakov to have to take a bit of a different line, perhaps also looking a bit too much in the mirror, getting afraid from Rainey behind, and then almost losing it on the curb and losing the position consequently to Adam Rainey. Now Noah Rovers, he's still stuck behind his teammate as Lawrence Doherty has been able to pull about a second away from these guys, but Noah Rovers about half a second behind his teammate, maybe hoping to get past him at some point as Leonov picks up a cut track there going wide through Cops. The drivers have a total of 5 in-game cut tracks that they are able to do. Or I think it's the 5th where they get a penalty, so they have 4 to do, and on the 5th they'll get a drive-through or stop-go, depends on how severe the cut is, I believe. But they have to be careful. There's still 38 laps to go, of course. If you do it every lap, then you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, and you can't serve your penalty at the same time as doing a pit stop, so you'd have to do your pit stop, go around again, and then serve the penalty, or vice versa, so it can really hurt. Although there is a slight advantage at Silverstone in that the pit lane cuts out the final 2 corners, so you sort of save a tiny bit of time, but you're still going to get heavily penalised if you do pick up a drive-through at this particular track.
This lead group, or I should say P3 down, everything behind Lawrence Doherty, still all very close to each other, bit of a train forming. Vosnica and Oldermenger in front, though, they've been able to pull out almost 3 seconds of a gap now towards Lawrence Doherty.
Halfway through lap 6 here. Vosnitzer half a second to Oldermenger in second place as we look at Cas Rietveld trying to chase down Noah Roivers through Maggots and Beckett's, still about a second in behind him. Any other type of open wheel formula, you probably have DRS at this point, but no DRS in this series, at least not anymore, as we now cut to the onboard of Marek Godek. You just be able to see how much speed they carry through Stowe Corner here in 4th gear at 230 kilometers an hour, and then up to the heavy braking zone of Club, and then into the Vale, and then towards the start-finish line, where another place you can pick up a track cut is on the exit of that particular corner, then on the inside of this corner. So it's, like I say, a place where white lines mean white lines. There is no wiggle room to, or no sort of negotiation you can take with the cut track detection system.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake there from Cas Rietveld through turn 3. It's going to allow Marek Godek to close up right to the back of his car, going defensive Rietveld. Godek will have to go around the outside. That's not really a possibility through there. Perhaps if he can get a good exit through here, might be able to put alongside before Kops, but no. Great exit from Rietveld there, and Godek really struggling to put the power down.
Yeah, some drivers will take different lines through Luffield, where some will just hug the inside curb and then boot it out the other side, and some will slow down and sort of take a V-shaped line, so they go away from the curb and then come back in again to maximise the acceleration up towards Kops. So different lines to take through there. I mean, personally, I can never get it right. It's a corner that's on my list of corners I really don't like, but still, that's all part of the challenge of sim racing, and a bit of tyre conservation in there as well, depending on what kind of line you take and how much speed you're taking through that corner.
Yeah. Everybody closing up behind Rietveld now. Rietveld has lost the connection to Noah Rovers, who both of Rovers and Leonov are still very close to Doherty as well, who's also losing a bit of time towards the two leaders. They've been doing a great job so far. 8 laps into this race. At least we're on the 8th lap now. Still 35 to go after this one. Godek a bit of a slide there.
Yeah, easy to burn out the rear tyres due to the high load corners and some of these acceleration zones, particularly through 3 and 4. And on the exit of Luffield here, so you don't want to light up the rear tyres, don't want to spin out. Otherwise, you'll be trying hard to get it all back later on, and this place really does punish mistakes if you do get it wrong.
Absolutely. Ooh,
oh, like that.
Godek. Almost losing the car there. Amazing save by him, but now right on his tail it's Thomas Wack. He'll be looking at that and thinking about a move, perhaps in a lap or two. His rear tires, at least, with Marek Godek here, are going to be liking this.
Yeah, you do get that satisfaction of seeing a car kick out, and then you start thinking to yourself, right, are his tyres burning off, or have I got him rattled? And then you just sort of see if he does it again, and then start picking your moves later on. So burning your rear tyres out to 9 laps, that's not really the way you want things going.
Noah Rovers on the gearbox of Ivan Leonov now as they come out of the arena section. Bit of weaving there from Lawrence Doherty, trying to break the slipstream down the straight. Rovers and Leonov really putting up the a double attack on Doherty. Gotta make sure they don't lose too much time battling each other though. It seems like Rovers has a bit of pace advantage over his teammate Leonov, but Leonov is the one that's going to have to attack Doherty first, at least as it stands now.
It is hard when you've got a guy ahead of you that you know you're faster than, but there's no way to get past, because all you're going to end up doing is just allowing the guy that's in behind to get closer and closer. So in this case, that's Cas Rietveld for Burst Engineering. So if Roivers gets held up too much by Leonov, then there's going to be 3 of them within a second of each other, and there's going to be then 4 of them fighting for 3rd position.
Rovers dropped off a bit now, coming out of the final corner. Slight mistake from him. Going to have to try and catch up again. It's a bit of a one lap. Doherty and Leonov have a better run. The other lap, Rovers has a better run. Going a bit back and forth between these 3 guys.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because are they making mistakes? Are they saving tyres? Are they saving fuel? Are they just letting it settle and then, hitting a quick lap in to build the gap back up to where it was? Or, what kind of strategies are they playing right now as we expect the drivers to start pitting within the next 4 laps or so?
Yeah. Bit of the inside curb. Perhaps a bit too much from Doherty. No, doesn't lose too much time there. This track is easy to make a mistake on, as we've mentioned before, especially on those fast corners. Lead group now almost 5 seconds gone from Lawrence Doherty. Once again tries to break the slipstream a little bit from Ivan Leonov.
Leonov looking closer than he has been. Maybe that's just the concertina effect. We'll see as they get out onto the Lewis Hamilton straight here and then into turn 1. Yeah, the gap's opened back up again, so it's just the concertina effect making it look like they're closer than they actually are. Still, Leonov and Roivers hounding the HM Engineering car to try and get through. But without DRS this season, making it ever so slightly harder for the two of them to get close enough to put that move on them. Meanwhile, Voslitzer up front has a 7.5 lead to Alden Menger, so that gap holding nice and stable. As we see the battle for third position between Doherty, Leonov and Roivers. Interestingly though, that Alden Menger is about 5 seconds ahead of Doherty, so the two up front have absolutely bolted. And now we see Marek Godek looking at the back end of Cas Rietveld, maybe trying to get a move on him at some point in this race.
Yeah, he's been behind Rietveld as well for quite a bit. Rietveld, of course, Godek himself made that big slide a lap or 2-3 ago. Buck hasn't been able to capitalize on that, though. Still behind that, and Zoltsuk's behind him as well. The gap between Torres and Lalu, of course, Lalu the first driver on those hard tires, about just under 5 seconds. That will be interesting to keep an eye out, the battle between Lalu and some of the last soft runners, such as Torres and Zoltsuks. They'll be trying to, or they have to go onto the hard tires at some point during the race. Everybody that's on the hards now will not have to do that. They'll be able to, I guess, do 2 soft stints to the end.
It's close though.
Yeah, Godek looking very feisty here now on Rietveld. Rietveld not defending, but he doesn't have to. Godek doesn't go for the move there. But he's definitely starting to close in to Rietveld now.
Yeah, Brooklands corner, not the sort of corner you want to launch into from way back. It's the entry speed is just too high. But they come down the old pit straight now through Woodcut up towards Copse. Once again, using that outside curve to open the corner out to take more speed. Both cars keeping it within the track limits. And then through Maggots and Beckett's, getting all that dirty air washing over the front end of the car, which won't help Godek much at all. And the gap's opened back up a bit, so Rietveld taking advantage of a little bit of dirty air through that section to keep his lead at around the half-second mark.
Yeah, I would expect some drivers to start thinking about coming in the next 1 or 2 laps.
Sooks is in.
Oh, there we go. Zoltsuk's first to come into the pit lane indeed. See what he will be going to. Of course, this pit lane is quite special, as you effectively skip the last corner entirely. So it's not that long a pit loss around this track. Zoltsuk's, I think, puts on another set of soft tires. Quite a long pit stop. I believe it was 11 seconds. So I guess quite a bit of fuel in that car now as well. Rejoins right next to Matt Tucson here, just in front of Tucson. Tucson on those hard tires. Those will be 13 laps old from the start of the race, of course. So it shouldn't be a problem for Tsux to start pulling away from these guys pretty quickly. But a good gap for him, and we'll be able to make this undercut work, I think, if he gets some good laps in.
Yeah, nicely in some clean air. 5 seconds to Barbakov in front, or 5.5 to Barbakov in front. I was just thinking that other tracks that do anything similar to how the Silverstone pit lane is, and the only one I can think of is Montreal, which is a track that we don't visit anymore, as we've switched to all official rFactor 2 content. It's quite, it's almost a unique pit lane in that respect, in that you just skip those final 2 corners. And in effect, you gain about 3 seconds just by cutting those final 2 corners and then hitting the speed limit to slow up to about 50 miles an hour for the pit lane speed limit. Frelick and Kalaksai in nose to tail as well, as is Adam Rainey. See what they take. Rainey almost cutting the end of Simon Frelick's car off. I think they're all remaining on the soft tyres. Quite a tight exit there for Frelick, but his front wing remains on and he carries on along his way, as we see Oldeminger following Vosnitzer up to Copse Corner. Gap 7 seconds to Doherty in third, and about another half a second to Leonov, and then Roivers 3/10 behind his teammate. So Roivers may be making a move very soon if he stays out for another lap or so.
Yeah, indeed. I think maybe some drivers will have been able to save a bit of fuel, being behind other drivers in the draft. Of course, we'll be able to use a bit less fuel. Let's see what these guys do. Woznica into the pit lane, and indeed Tom Oldeminger has been able to save this extra lap of fuel. We'll be able to do 15 laps. Woznica into the pit lane, and what is he going to go on to?
Yeah, you'd expect Oldeminger to pit on the very next lap, as Vosnitzer turns those tyres into 50 pence pieces, although he's binning them off, so it's not going to matter too much. He's in 5th now, as a result of... Yeah, there's that sauce fuel going in. Give the engine some revs, and gets released just as he's passed in the pit lane by Torres, but takes that position back.
Yeah, it's close between Rovers and Doherty and Leonov. This has been basically since the start of this race.
This will be pit lap for them.
Yeah, surely. I don't think anybody will be able to do more than 15 laps on one tank, perhaps. Somebody will prove me wrong. But Rovers, I think, will be thinking to himself, what can I do differently in the next stint to try and not be stuck behind these drivers in front of me?
Just seeing what's happening as Roivers follows his teammate Leonov and Lawrence Doherty through Maggots and Beckett's. Be interesting to see all 3 of these drivers come in at the same time, and he'll be the first out on the other side. It's not a human pit crew, it's just a built-in timer. Roivers not trying to overtake Leonov, so this is probably his in-lap. So,
yeah, everybody in.
Doherty, Leonov, Roivers in, so it's going to be a good battle here. Get to that white line without speeding, get your braking right so you get to the line without smashing into the guy behind. Oldeminger also there in the pit lane. So Doherty pits first, and then Roivers into his box, Leonov into his box. Oldeminger will leave before them as he was there first. Roivers turning the wheel slightly to the left so that he can get out. And it's another set of softs.
Ooh, Doherty, I think a bit slower. Yeah, a bit slower than these neck rest guys.
Oh, he's going to have to let him go. Oh, and he's jumped him. Brilliant.
Yeah, both the Netrex driver jumping Lawrence Doherty in the pit stop here. Doherty then probably put in a bit more fuel than both of the Netrex drivers.
Harder tyres too.
Yeah, as well, hard tyres. I think Leonov is also on hard tyres. As I
he is.
Yeah, he is. So Leonov and Doherty on hards. Rovers putting on softs. It's going to be interesting for him. He is still behind Zolt Soeks now. Soeks also making that undercut work, as we saw him come in first, jumping both Rovers and Doherty. Soeks really were making that undercut work, but of course still got Leonov right in front of him. But those soft tires will be trying to make sure, or well, he will be trying to make sure on those soft tires to get a bit of a grip, but I think he's being side by side with Rovers right now.
Yeah, it's Roivers on fresher, softer tyres compared to Soeks in front. I'm getting confused by his wheel rims because they've got that red outline on them, but it's white wall tyres. And Roivers trying to make the most of that tyre advantage now while he still can and not get held up. But Lawrence Doherty as well on fresh tyres, albeit slower compound as almost rip. And Doherty's going to take that as a freebie. And because of that, Roivers has dropped down to 7th and he's been forced off the track.
Rietveld taking advantage of that as well. Bit of contact between the two drivers there. Losing a lot of positions. Rovers being the one that loses the most. Down to 7th place now. And his teammate, where he was right behind. Ooh, a bit of contact between the teammates there as well. Everybody bunching up behind. This is very close. Because Rietveld going around the outside of Marek Godek now.
Roivers back into 6th because of that. And now it's everybody's trying to bail into Brooklands here. So I think that's Roivers going to have to go around the outside of Luffield. A bit more biffing and barging as they go. Can Roivers get the power down? It's going to be around the outside of Cops. This is Hamilton versus Bottas stuff now. And Bottas came out on top in that fight. And it looks like Rietveld's got it into Cops only just... Oh, this is so close.
Yeah, Marek Godek trying to find a way around these two guys as well at the same time. That's not going to be easy. If they're side by side, there's not really a gap for them. Big slide for Rovers. Manages to catch it. But amazing racing between these two drivers. And now...
Down the inside into Stowe.
Yep. It's going to be a bit more easy. Although Rietveld keeping it around the outside. Next corner is going to be the inside for Rietveld. He's going to be braking as late as possible. But Rovers able to outbrake him there.
Fantastic stuff for almost the entire lap. I was just about to say it was fantastic racing between the two of them for half a lap, if not more. And Rieveld's tyres, you can see them. You can see the wear on them. There's a bit of flat spotting on there from locking the brakes. As we see what exactly happened. He just drops it on the curb.
Did he?
Under power. If you want to roll it back, I think
I think
he was on the tap. He was on the curb, and then off he goes.
The white line, I think. The curb or the white line.
That was close. Yeah. But luckily, inside of that corner, you can get going again.
Yeah, all that battling effectively for nothing, at least on Cas Rietveld's side. He's all the way down to P11 now. His tires won't be happy with him. It's a shame, because that battle was really nice to watch.
It might have helped Oldenmenger out slightly, because with Roivers getting held up like he did, that's going to harm him in terms of trying to get back further up. So Oldenmenger might have had a little bit of a reprieve to really chase down Vosnitzer for the win in this race, thanks to his teammate forcing all of that battling.
Yeah, Oldenmenger has been behind Vosnitzer since the start of this race now, hasn't really been further than a second behind him. Perhaps also saving quite a bit of fuel, just waiting for the perfect opportunity to try and attack Vosnica. Of course, there's still 24 laps to go in this race. So plenty of time for him to try and come up with a way to get past him. Could be on strategy, could be on track. But he's still got plenty of time. And this battle is not over yet. Noah Rovers, Toltsuk, Marek Godek, all very close to each other, I think. Rovers with those fresh soft tires, a bit newer than what Toltsuk has under his car, is going to try and overtake him.
Yeah, slipstream kicking in, sends it into Brooklands. Sooks sort of dives out the way to try and avoid contact. Rovers into 5th, and now his next target, Lawrence Doherty, that's just under a second ahead of him. Rovers going to have to make the most of the tyres he's got. But he'll have to switch to the hards at his next stop, because he's got to use the hards at some point in the race. So the next stint for him might be a little bit more tricky.
Oh, Cameron Rogers had an incident. He spun around. Let's have a look what happened to him. Did he spin coming into turn 1? No. What happened then? He spun through... Interesting. Not sure exactly what happened, but lost the car through turn 2 there. His tires won't be happy with him. Probably big flat spots. No damage though, so he'll be able to continue the race.
Yeah, not the first incident he's had this race. I think it was on lap 1 or lap 2. He tumbled down to the back. So home Grand Prix not going well for the FSR president.
Yeah, now Rovers on those fresh soft tires. A lot more grip than what Doherty is able to get from his hard tires. Surely this is going to be an overtake.
Yeah,
Right.
Doherty had a little bit of a wiggle. Rovers tried to go for a little bit of a switchback into don't move twice. But round the outside of Brooklands should have the grip, then the inside line for Luffield, but no, Doherty managed to cover off that inside line. Some great racing between these two, but that's going to bring Zolt Shucks back into it. If Shucks has got the tyre life compared to Roivers, maybe. But still, Doherty lives to fight another day on this occasion, but going into Stowe, Roivers might send it round the outside there.
Yeah, if he has a good run out of Chapel, he'll be able to use the straight and the slipstream on that straight to close in. Ooh, a bit of a slide once again for Doherty. Those hard tires really not favouring him at the moment. Once again, trying to break that slipstream. Rovers closing in. Doherty really moving quite a lot on the straights.
Yeah, he's going to need to be careful about that, because moving too much and then it just becomes straight up blocking. And
yeah,
like the rears.
Noah Rovers.
That's taken Doherty with him.
Indeed. Let's have a look at the replay there from Noah Rovers' perspective. I think he just locked the brakes indeed on the braking. Here coming out of Stowe. Doherty blocking the inside, going to the outside, and Rovers just locking those rear tires.
Was lucky not to take those other two with him, because the way he just cut across like that and hit the sausage curve, almost got some air. But that's not going to help Noah Rovers, who might have a few choice words to say about the borderline weaving that Doherty was doing up until that point.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that the stewards might be interested to look at in the post-race checks. Now, though, everything's cooled down a little bit more. Rovers is still close to Jukka-Pekka Lalu. We'll be trying to close up that gap, of course. Lalu on those soft tires as he started on the hards. I think he'll be pleased to see all this happening in front of him. He's been catching up to Alvaro Torres now. Torres was in front of him before the pit stop phase, so I'm not sure exactly what happened, if it was just a strategic call from Torres to put in a bit less fuel and managed to jump him through that. But now Lalu on those soft tires, a bit stuck behind Torres, who in his turn is right behind Thomas Wack and Zolt. Of course, all those drivers in front have been involved in that battle, and also a few incidents that were happening just a few laps ago.
Yeah, and with half the race gone, there's still half the race to go. So your top 10 is Vozitzer, Oldermenger, Leonov, Godek, Shucks, Vak, Torres, Lalu, Roivers, Kalaksai. Roivers with it all to do after locking his rears going into club. And not the race that the championship leader would want so far. Cameron Roger right down there at the back after his spin at turn 2. Doherty in 13th after getting collected by Roivers. So Roivers got away with that in the grand scheme of things, only dropping to 9th, while Doherty almost out of the points here as we go back on board with Roivers. Going through Maggots, Beckett's, and then into Chapel with Jukka-Pekka Lalu in front, but there's some bit of carnage happening in the back. That's Chats Pantalis out of the race. He must have been involved in a collision of some form or description. So if we can grab a replay of that, as don't know where he was when that happened. He was around sort of 15th, 16th ish. Simon Felix picked up a cut track, which isn't going to help things. So here's a replay of said incident. Chats Pantalis coming out of Luffield onto the old pit straight through Woodcut. Oh, that's a gear failure of some description. Whee! That's
stuck
odd.
the landing.
Yeah, it's, the Romanian judge gives him a 9.5 for that one.
Yeah, interesting. Probably some sort of wheel disconnection or something similar, causing him to to effectively try to go into the old pit lane, but seemed to be closed.
Yeah, it's not 1996 anymore.
Rovers right on the back of Lalu still. Not been able to get past him down the straight there. Lalu trying to keep the connection with Torres as well, but that networks from Rovers really starting to hunt him down. Ooh, and a bit
That's
of
a cut track.
Yeah.
Rovers might have just got away with that one because he had 2 wheels on the actual curbstones. So Lalu under pressure from Rovers here. Championship leader having a bit of a wiggle at Chapel. That's just allowed Lalu to get away ever slightly onto Hanger Straight. Not enough slipstream from that distance to help Rovers, but you know, he's still battling his way forward with the incident here a few laps ago. Another slide from Rovers and another slide going full Tokyo Drift in Silverstone. Halford's car park stuff as we're in Britain for this race. But yeah, this is going to be a race that Rovers will want to forget in a hurry.
Yeah. Of course, having had a great track record so far, 3 wins and only a 2nd place for the other race. It's got quite a good lead in the championship, so he can afford to have a bad race once in a while, but of course needs to make sure that doesn't happen too often. And there's still 19 laps to go, of course, for him to try and catch back up the field a little bit, but it's going to be difficult for him.
Still only 2 retirements. Chespentalis having that gear failure, and oh, there's some more carnage happening. I just heard another clonk in the background. I don't see anybody tumbling down the order, so should be okay.
Maybe just a bollard being thrown around.
The obligatory bollard smash as Rovers misses his apexes through Maggots and Beckett's. Now on board with Yukabaka Lalu, heading up Hanger Straight. He's got Alvaro Torres directly in front. Lalu on the softer tyres, but they'll be getting burned out much faster than the hard tyres on Torres' car, although softer tyres being faster. Half a second between the two of them. Lalu catching up on the brakes because of the superior grip that those softer tyres have, but there will be that overlap where the pace sort of flip-flops between the advantage of the harder and the soft tyres. So it's good seeing the 2 compounds being able to race each other.
Yeah, definitely. At the front, Oldenmenger still pretty much similarly paced behind Jan Bosnica. Those two haven't really lost sight of each other at all during this race. Ivan Lane, of course, on the Hose hard tires that he put on in the last pit stop. In 3rd now, 16 seconds behind them. Of course, when they go for the next stop, they'll have to, at least at some point in this race, still have to put on the hard tires. Leonov will not have to, so he'll probably be able to close up that gap a little bit more throughout this race, but I don't see him fighting for anything more than a 3rd place, unless one of those two makes some mistakes, of course.
Lalu here going up Hanger Straight. Still got Torres in front, but Rovers having a sniff in behind. Back on board with the championship leader. Nice and tidy-ish through Stowe. Those sawtooth curves, so the white sawtooth curves beyond the actual curbstones, unsettle the car and upset your traction as well. You can just see them there on the left-hand side as they go out onto the start-finish straight. Use that curve on the outside to open up turn 1. Carry so much speed through here. Flat out and then hard on the brakes. Misses the apex. Rovers really pushing, and it's not going the way he would have wanted in terms of keeping it well within the white lines. Into Brooklands. Keeping it there. Going slightly wider and then cutting back in to get the power down. But can't do anything. The tyres will have been screaming after that incident at Club Corner a few laps back. So the tyres aren't going to be giving him what he needs right now, but still, decent exit from Cops. If he can keep close enough through Maggots and Beckett's here, then he'll have a run into Stowe at the end of the Hanger Straight. Manages to hit all the apexes this time round. Now, has he got a good enough exit out of the slower part of Beckett's to catch up into Stowe? I don't think he has. Although in behind, David Kalaksai will be filling his mirrors. Through Stowe corner now, out the other side. Roivers might be getting a bit frustrated that he can't do anything right now.
Yeah, he's got to keep calm. Still get home those points that he can get, and of course maybe try to gain a few positions. But finishing anywhere in the top 10 is always better than not finishing at all.
Again, finding a little bit of difficulty getting out of the slower traction zones here. Lalu with about half a second lead down the Hanger Straight. Not the Hanger Straight, sorry, the Wellington Straight. Roivers has a better run through Brooklands. Now what can he do through this little section? But it just seems that Lalu's got that little bit in hand over him.
Yeah, Rietveld behind these two guys as well, starting to catch up to Simon Frelick. Of course, Rietveld also had an incident earlier on. He's been able to catch up a little bit, but now starting to struggle as well, trying to get past this Royal Blue Racing driver in front of him.
Back to Oldenmenger, still keeping within half a second of Jan Vosnitzer in front, which is good going from Burst here today. In turn, they've got 17.5 nearly to Leonov as Zoltschuk's heads for the pit lane. So he's blinking first. Well, he blinked first last time. Jukka Lalu follows him in, so that's released Roivers, at least for the time being. Shuk's taking the hard tyres to the end to fill the, or to check the box for that. Frelick also in, Rainey, Fletcher, Ivanov also in, so second round of stops, the final round of stops, happening between now and sort of lap 30.
Yeah, it's 15 laps to the end now, so I expect these guys to go to the end without a problem. We saw a few drivers do 15 laps already in the first stint, including Oldenmenger, Leonov, Godek, all those drivers able to do 15 laps, so surely Zux will be able to do 15 to the end now as well. Oldenmenger is really putting on the pressure a little bit more now on Woznica as they both pull into the pit lane once again.
Good little pit lane battle again, as we saw in the first round between Roivers and Co when they came in. So Oldenmenger gets the first box. Vosnitzer has to go a little bit further along. And you'd think they'd come out nose to tail again, provided that Oldenmenger's reactions are good enough when that pit lane counter stops. And there he goes, he's away. What's going to happen with Vosnitzer? He's going to come out. He's moving. Oh, he's jumped him. Brilliant.
Oldenmenger not able to really get past him, but he's gained a bit of time, I think. Gap between them just about 2 tenths now, both in clean air, so that's good to see. But I think a little bit less fuel was put into that car of Tom Oldenmenger. Of course, Oldenmenger's been able to sit behind Woznica for quite a bit and probably save a bit of fuel. But out of the first couple of corners, Woznica already pulling a bit of a gap.
I don't know why I said Vosnitzer jumped him, because he came in first, but still side by side once again in the pit lane. That's Kalaksai and Roivers. Roivers' engine smoking once again as he leaves the pit lane, so that thing has been taped up good and proper for maximum straight line speed. That car doesn't like sitting still for very long. So Roivers on the hard tyre, Kalaksai on the softer tyre, so Roivers is going to have to try and keep Kalaksai in behind as he fires his 1970s disco smoke machine at him, and there it stops. So Roivers into 12th behind Jukka Lalu once again. Lalu on the soft tyres, but Roivers will have a bit of tyre life in hand come the end of the race, so game on towards the end.
Yeah, definitely. Kalaksai, of course, on those soft tyres, a lot more grip, at least in the first couple of laps, compared to those hards. Rovers is, I think, pace-wise a bit quicker than Kaloksai, so perhaps that evens out a bit. Let's see what happens though. First time through this twisty section of this track. Beautiful. A bit of understeer there for Kaloksai. Probably Dirty Air not helping him as well. And losing a bit of time because of that.
Lawrence Doherty into the pit lane, following Cas Rietveld in. Rietveld pointing the car back towards the pit wall for the straighter exit. Rietveld taking the more realistic approach to the pit stop. Rietveld on the okay, that wheel rim is playing tricks on me again, but it's the soft tyres. Okay, so gets out ahead of Rietveld. Rietveld on the harder tyres to the end. So again, it'll be an interesting fight between those two towards the end.
Yeah, Rietveld on the hards. I think he's going to be struggling to keep with Doherty though. Of course, Doherty he's been able to show some pace earlier on in the race, up to 4th place, but then had that incident and lost quite a few positions. Now in 14th, of course, there is still 1, 2, 3 drivers that haven't stopped, including Marek Godek. He's going for a quite long second stint. As he's coming into the pit lane now, he'll be going to a set of the hard tires. I believe he hasn't put those on yet.
Be interesting though, because Doherty got clanged by Roivers, didn't he? So if he's nursing any suspension or aero damage, then his race might be slightly compromised to allow Rietveld to stay with him because of that damage.
Godek shows for me that he's on another set of soft tires. Surely that's
he's he's on softs for me as well.
Okay.
On my other screen. He also just warped straight into the pit wall. So
yeah, maybe it still updates in a bit. But if he,
I'll keep an eye on that.
If he's indeed on the soft tires, then he's not complying with the rules at the moment, because he has to put the hard tires once, hasn't put them in the first stint, didn't put them in the second stint. So if he doesn't have them on now, then he'll have to do another stop and put on hard tires, or you'll have a penalty at the end of the race, of course. This battle between Tsuks, Waak and Torres is heating up. Torres, great first race here today in the 2021 Pro Championship, I think. Up to P7 at the moment, looking to move up some more places, perhaps, if you can get past Waak and Tsuks here.
Yes, Torres with his has had some good support in the YouTube chat, so maybe that's spurring him along. Managing to keep with Thomas Waak and Zolt Tsuks and Godek and co. So decent showing. And if he bags some decent points here today, that'll do great for his confidence. But just one thing to ask: what exactly is the penalty for not complying with the tyre rules?
I think it's straight up disqualification.
Okay. Yeah, because Godek's showing us softs on the timing.
Oh.
That's Roivers.
Once again, spun around.
Keeps it out of the wall, only just.
Only just, indeed. Let's see what happened to him.
I think he dropped it on the curb at Stowe. It's not a good day for Championship leader.
Oh, he's battling as well.
That's Lalu, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. Did they touch? Ooh, yeah,
contact,
touch, yeah. Caused him to spin around. Yeah, he'll be disappointed with today, I think. Still has probably a good enough lead in the championship for now, but he's going to have to be careful in the next races.
Next race is Azure, isn't it?
No. The next one is USA.
Oh, good track.
We've got the Triple Crown header coming up, which is Indianapolis, Azure, and Le Mans. So that will be an interesting few races for sure.
Le Mans going to be fantastic. Alvaro Torres in 7th position. Still keeping there with Thomas Waak. Soft tyres on Waak's car, but harder tyres on Suk's car. making things nice and spicy with 9 laps to go. This race has absolutely flown by, and still we've lost Viktor Ivanov as well. Don't know why that happened. It's
I think he just
still
disconnected.
still only have 3 DNFs. All the cars except for Cameron Roger on the lead lap. So this has been nice and clean so far.
Yeah, of course there have been a few incidents, but no major crashes or anything. As this train between Bach, Zux and Alvaro Torres is now got Jukka-Pekka Lalo catching up to them as well. Kaloksai also on soft tires, about 1.5 seconds behind this train. Don't think it will take him too long to catch up. Everybody backing up behind Thomas Wak at the moment. Sorry, it's all Zux.
Half a second still separating Zux from Vak. Another half a second to Torres. Another half a second to Lalu. So evenly spaced. But still anything can happen once that gap drops to about 3/10 and the slipstream really starts to kick in. So nobody is safe in this little train as of yet. But Zux doing well to keep things there in 5th position on those harder tyres. 8 laps to go now for this group. And the hard tyre will start to come into its own towards the end as those softs in behind get burned out.
Definitely.
This is Jukka-Pekka Lalo for Royal Blue Racing. There's a bit of a decent gap to Kaloksai behind. Gap just about a second there. Focusing on trying to get a little bit further up the order. He's got Torres ahead. So if he can get 7th, that'll be good for him. Decent showing for Royal Blue. I think Kaloksai and Frelick also are Royal Blue. So those 3 drivers in the points. But Doherty will be starting to try and get there to take on Frelick and interrupt that train of Royal Blue cars as there goes Doherty through Copse Corner. Don't think anybody's actually had to serve a penalty for track limits yet, so we're doing okay in that regard. And just a couple of bits of driver error, but still those who have had those bits of driver error have managed to, for the most part, carry on.
Yeah. Frelick trying to break the slipstream there. Doherty did that a bit earlier in the race, which may have also attributed to the incident there in the second to last corner. But now Doherty, surely if he can keep this close, coming through turn 3 and 4, he'll be able to make a move. Braking hard. A bit of a wiggle on the brakes for Frelick. This is the corner that's important for both of the drivers. Doherty to attack, Frelick to defend. Frelick has got a good exit. And the gap surely is a bit too big for Doherty to do anything.
There's still only half a second between these two. Doherty taking that wider line out, then back inwards at Brooklands through Woodcut. And then it'll be what can he do through Copse to take the better exit, the faster exit. Still 0.6 of a second between the two, so it's gone up ever so slightly. So unless Doherty absolutely puts in a blinder through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel, he's not going to have the gap required to, as Ivan Leonov, Roivers, Rietveld, Rainey. There's been a bit of disco fever.
Yeah, five people, I think 6 people DNFing at the same time. That is quite peculiar to see.
Suboptimal, I think is the term.
Yeah, I'm sure Race Direction will be having a look at that and perhaps need some action think there's at least somewhere in the rules that if there's a mass disconnection from drivers, that there is some sort of procedure in place. But let's just continue for now until we hear anything.
Let's let Cameron get into the points first, and then we can do.
Well, I'm not too sure about that. Let's just keep Cameron.
Stop 17th. The count. Stop the count.
We'll see what happens. Doherty was unable to get a run out of that final. Sorry, not the final corner. Out of the corner leading onto Hanger Straight. Has come through left field. On the power. Just on traction, Felix is able to get a better exit than Doherty. Doherty seems to be struggling from the dirty air through cops as well there.
Had a bit of a sniff into Stowe here. Not close enough. 4/10 the gap, back up to 5/10. So Doty's going to have to put in something special to get that extra position. But still,
the race has been red flagged due to a mass disconnect. The race will not be restarted.
Race over. Just had the words in our ear from Anthony Nickpon, the race director, so that will be it. So Felix, how does this work? Do you do it from the lap before everybody disconnects?
The last lap before everybody was disconnected will be counted as the finishing flag effectively. So there it's going to be a bit difficult for us exactly to figure out who's
unlucky camera
where, but I think it's pretty sure at least that Jan Woznica has won this race then in this case. So congratulations to him. Tom Holdermenger may be a bit disappointed as well, because he of course maybe was counting on having at least 6 more laps to try and get past him. Wasn't able to do so, so he'll be I think still a bit happy with second. Still a good amount of points for him. And of course Noah Rovers, who disconnected, will be getting some points. Exactly which amount I do not know. That is something for the stewards to figure out post race, where everybody was in that order. There will not be another start, as we are further than I think 75% of the race.
Yeah, when there's only 4 laps left.
In the rules, it's effectively if there's less than a certain amount of the race done, then there's a full restart that does the entire race again. If there's about halfway, then it is counted from whichever lap there was when the disconnection happened. And at some point, if there's more than 75%, I don't know exactly these numbers, but roughly, then that is just the finishing position. No sprint race to the end. Perhaps would have been nice to watch, but that is unfortunately the procedure here. Mass disconnection for 6-7 drivers, causing this race to end prematurely. Bosnica will be happy. He's won this race, but of course something that we do not like to see happen, of course.
No, I think this is the first time I've ever seen it happen in FSR, and I've been watching since probably the 2014-15 season, so it's not something that happens very often. No, it's happened I think once or twice before. I remember in a race where I drove in, I think it was 2015 in Brazil, the final race, that something similar happened, but indeed that is very rare to see. But unfortunately we're dealing with the internet, we're dealing with servers and such, and things can go wrong from time to time, and today has been a day where it went wrong here in the Pro Division. So I think we can have a quick look at the this race results, but these are not going to be correct, I think, and I don't think they're even showing. No, they're not even showing. No, so, there is, I mean, I've got rFactor 2 up on my other screen, and it's showing everybody as DNF, so I think everybody's been booted. Yeah.
So to quickly go through the rundown as if it were to be taken without the DNFs counting. So Harry Smith, well, he's definitely not won the race. Wait, let me just try and find out.
Let him have that. Lost the first challenge.
So for those who are still in TeamSpeak, so obviously we'll have to investigate this and then work out where we're going to take the result from.
Cameron's just explained to all the drivers what's happening.
Situation.
Obviously
that's not going to be a quick thing, so it won't be today. So do just bear with us.
The results won't be here today. That'll be tomorrow or maybe later in the week.
From this point,
what will happen? So
obviously with positions and points, we'll have to look at that. So we will let you know in the next couple of days when we get time to investigate it.
But I'm sure statements will be issued at some point in the next few days, and interested to see what the results actually come out with.
Yeah, I think just looking at the tower right before the DNFs happened from the replay, I would say, at least this is provisional, of course, Bosrika won this race, Tom Oldermenger, Leonov in third, Godek in fourth, Zux in fifth, Waak in sixth, of our Torres in seventh, Jukka-Pekka Lalu in eighth, David Kaloksai in ninth, Simon Felix in 10th, Lawrence Doherty 11th, and Noah Rovers in 12th, Cas Wietveld in 13th, Arif Roslan in 14th, and then Andreasen in 15th, closing off the points. That's all provisional, like Cameron just said. This will all be investigated and figured out who is going to finish in what position. There are some procedures in place for this, so that will all be sorted later in the race. However, for today, we are not done yet. Of course, we've got the World Championship coming up in about 50 minutes, I would say, at 19:45 British summertime. That race, or at least the qualifying, will kick off, and then the race 15 minutes later will be going for 52 laps. That's going to be a very exciting one as well, isn't it, Aidan?
Yeah, see if Mitchie Hoyer can bounce back after his weird retirement at Zandvoort with the form he's got, and wrapping up the GT3 Endurance Championship last night. You'd think that Burst would be carrying that form into today's race as well, so should be good. Fingers crossed everything holds on, and it's not really been FSR's day today with the problems that I know that you had, Felix, with your internet in the last race, and now with this, and so still should be a great race, all things considered.
Yeah, and of course after that we're heading to the United States, 16th of May, so a 3-week break until we get racing again. That's going to be Indianapolis. That's going to be a great race, I think. Zure after that, and then the French Grand Prix. Those will be formed as a Triple Crown races, which will be a sort of extra prize within the Formula Sim Racing Championship. So the drivers will be looking out for that as well, I am sure. But that's all to come for next week. First, the World Championship today. I want to thank everybody for watching. A big thanks to our sponsors, of course, SimLab, 3D Wrap, and Masita eSports for making everything possible here at Formula Sim Racing. Make sure to head over to their website and check out some of their products. All the links in the description, of course. And Aidan, of course, thanks again for joining me in the commentary booth today.
No, it was good. We're having a nice clean race, and just unfortunately, technology had to technology. So get everything back together for the World Championship race, which should be something exciting to watch while having some dinner.
Definitely, and I hope until then, everybody has a great afternoon as well. Goodbye.